Most people don't ruin their lives in one big dramatic explosion. It rarely happens like that. Instead, we lose ourselves through this quiet, almost invisible drift. It's a little more distraction here, a little less discipline there, always waiting for the right time. And then, suddenly, you look around one day and realize your entire life has been built by accident rather than by intention. So, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really powerful framework popularized by Dan Koe to stop that exact drift. It's called the anti-vision, and we're going to look at how fear can actually rebuild your identity. Let's get right into it.
We're going to start with a kind of uncomfortable question. Really ask yourself right now, what future are you already creating through the things you repeat every single day? We spend so much time waiting around for some magical lightning bolt burst of motivation, and we completely ignore the compounded consequences of our current habits. Listen, if you keep scrolling, escaping, avoiding the hard work, and let's be honest, lying to yourself, you are actively building something. It might be the exact wrong thing, but you are absolutely still building it. And that brings us to the core concept of today's explainer, the anti-vision. Now, I want to be super clear about this. The anti-vision is not meant to make you hate yourself. It is absolutely not about shame. It's about sight. It is a razor-sharp, unignorable picture of the exact future you absolutely refuse to live. It shows you the body, the mind, the relationships, and the career that are 100% guaranteed to materialize if absolutely nothing changes. Essentially, it's designed to wake you up. Just look at the contrast here. Most self-help advice tells you to, envision a positive dream, make a vision board. But positive dreams are often really blurry. They're abstract, maybe a little too sentimental. And frankly, they usually fail to actually move the needle on our behavior. An anti-vision, on the other hand, that cuts deep. It hits your nervous system. It forces total, brutal honesty by showing you the agonizing cost of staying exactly the same. And there's actually hard science backing this up. As neuroscientist Andrew Huberman points out, our brains are biologically hardwired to detect threats. A vague, pretty dream might feel nice, but a clear, impending danger, that triggers real physiological activation. Psychologist Lisa Feldman Barrett adds to this, explaining that the brain is basically a prediction machine. So the anti-vision gives your brain a vivid, terrifying prediction of exactly where your current habits lead. Yeah, that creates discomfort, but that discomfort is just data. It's literally your biology telling you it's time to move. All right, moving into section 1, mind entropy, and why life falls apart without order. We know why we need an anti-vision, but why do our lives naturally drift into chaos in the first place? It all comes down to this idea of mind entropy. Entropy doesn't announce itself with a megaphone, right? It sneaks in. One skipped workout quietly turns into a 2-month pattern. One distracted morning bleeds into a lost year. You find yourself constantly reaching for noise, your phone, the TV, a podcast, just to avoid sitting in silence with your own thoughts. As Jordan Peterson notes in the source material, a human being desperately needs a target. Without an aim, we just become fragmented, pulled in a million directions by every passing impulse. Here's the kicker, though. This isn't just a failure of your willpower. As James Clear brilliantly puts it, if your environment is full of cues for distraction, you're going to repeat distraction. Biologist Robert Sapolsky points out that the brain is constantly trying to conserve energy. So if you don't have clear priorities set up in your physical space, your brain automatically defaults to the easiest, cheapest reward available. You aren't just fighting yourself, you're literally fighting biology inside a poorly arranged room. So, how do we actually combat entropy? By aggressively designing our environment. There are 3 key steps here. First, remove the friction for good habits. Put the book on your desk. Leave the phone in another room. Second, time block your deep work. This is an idea championed by Cal Newport, and it's crucial. You need deliberate rules to protect your focus. And third, set strict digital boundaries. Discipline isn't about white-knuckling your way through the day. It's just about making the good behavior easier and the bad behavior harder. Which brings us right to section 2, the cost of cheap pleasure. Because the biggest threat to our structure is the fact that we live in a world literally engineered to give us effortless pleasure. There is a silent battle happening inside your head right now. On one side, you've got fast dopamine, scrolling, video games, those quick hits. Psychiatrist Anna Lempke explains that when we flood our brains with this incredibly easy stimulation, the brain actually learns to expect constant novelty. And the result? We feel empty and anxious. But on the other side, we have slow reward, meaningful effort, writing, training, sitting in silence. This is what builds mental stamina and actually restores our joy. But here's the scary part. When we abuse fast dopamine, those slow, meaningful rewards literally start to feel physically painful. The true danger of our modern digital world is the illusion of a friction-free life. Modern apps are designed to train your mind to escape the very first hint of difficulty. Think about it. Waiting in line at the grocery store, sitting alone for a minute, trying to draft a difficult email. These used to be normal moments that naturally built mental stamina. Now, the literal millisecond we feel a tiny bit of boredom, we reach for our phones to escape. We are actively training our nervous systems to completely lose their tolerance for effort. To fix this, we have to selectively withdraw from that noise and intentionally reclaim our attention.
Okay, so if cheap pleasure is the disease, then this next phase is the cure. Welcome to Section 3, Mastering the Boring Fundamentals. The truth is, mastering anything looks incredibly ordinary from the outside. I absolutely love this quote from the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. Freedom comes after form, not before it. We are so deeply addicted to novelty today. We always want the new tactic, the new app, the new trendy identity. Mostly because novelty feels a whole lot safer than mastery. Psychologist Carol Dweck explains that constantly jumping to new things is basically a defense mechanism. It helps us avoid the uncomfortable reality of being bad at something. But true freedom, true skill, that only comes when you stop chasing the shiny new thing and start respecting the form.
And that respect for form looks exactly like deliberate practice, a concept defined by the late psychologist Anders Ericsson. Now, this is not just mindless repetition. It's consistent repetition while paying deep, intentional attention. It's measuring your mistakes, making tiny micro-corrections, and returning to the task again and again. To a spectator, yeah, this looks incredibly boring. But to the person actually doing it, it's profoundly meaningful. This is how the brain actually builds expertise. A beginner repeats something and just gets tired. A master repeats it and begins to truly see.
All right, we've reached the final phase of our explainer. Section 4, the origin story, rebuilding your identity. We've got the anti-vision, we've designed our environment, and we're committed to those boring fundamentals. Now, everything starts to shift. Real change happens when you completely flip your perspective. Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist Viktor Frankl captured this perfectly. It's no longer about that selfish, abstract desire of, what do I want from life? Instead, it becomes this moral, immediate duty. What does life require from me right now? When meaning finally overtakes your fear, and when we take total responsibility for our actions, that is the exact moment a true origin story begins. So, how do we systematically forge this brand new identity? Here is the exact roadmap. Step 1, name the refused future. That's your anti-vision. Step 2, choose the system. Design your environment so you aren't constantly relying on sheer willpower. Step 3, repeat truthful actions. Just do the boring fundamentals. And finally, step 4, create evidence of a new self. Like endurance athlete David Goggins points out, you cannot just think your way into a new identity. You literally have to build it through the undeniable proof of doing hard things over and over and over again. Which brings us to this incredibly powerful realization. Success isn't about suddenly waking up one day as a perfect, flawless human being. Actually, success is simply the slow death of the version of you that kept choosing comfort over truth. It's the quiet fading away of the person who hit snooze, who scrolled for hours, who just drifted through life. And it's the slow, quiet birth of the person who keeps one tiny promise to themselves, and then another, and then another. So, I want to leave you with this final thought to carry with you today. Take a long, hard look at the current trajectory of your daily habits. What life do you absolutely refuse to live, starting today? Let the fear of that anti-vision wake you up, but let the meaning of who you are truly capable of becoming lead you forward. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now, go build the evidence.